What's up, Kiana? How are you? What's up, Gwen? How are you? Starting to get a little bit of trickle down in here. We're going to give everyone about 5 minutes to join up. Well, probably a little bit less than 5 minutes, but probably about 5 minutes. If you want to join the stream, I posted that link on the comments. Click that. You can stop in. You can say what's up. You could just do a little bit of talk. Mr. Ott, on the stream.
How
are you?
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
All right. It's a beautiful day.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful day.
Yeah.
This should take, let's just say probably about 15 to 20 minutes. It's pretty simple stuff, not too hard. We'll do quite a few examples, and then we'll call it a day. Right now, I know we got 4 in here. Lee Hope 12. I'm not sure who that is, but. Okay, a couple more. Again, for those of you just starting to come in, you can use that link that I posted up to join the. Oh, it's Leonette. Okay. Could use that link to join up on the stream. I can get you guys in the stream. If you guys have questions, click in there and drop on in. Gotta change one thing. Cool. Cool. Got a couple in here. If you have anybody's phone number who may not be in here, I don't know exactly who is in here. Send out a quick text. They could probably hop in for at least the last couple examples. Ant, how you doing? All right. So today we're going to talk about factoring polynomials by grouping. And you guys should notice that this is oddly familiar. Everybody's sealed now. Should note that this is oddly familiar to stuff that you have been seeing. We're going to do a couple. This is pretty easy. And in that case, I'll be super excited about that. So we are factoring polynomials by grouping. If you've got a notebook or anything handy, now it's time to take that out. We'll start off with a pretty simple example. And then we'll move through some challenging ones, and then we'll wrap it up. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to join up on the stream. I'll check back every now and then to see questions or not. So the first example is going to be x cubed plus 7x squared plus 2x plus 14. Now, in most cases, right, if you're given 4 terms, you're most likely going to be utilizing factoring by grouping. Okay, so if they give you 4 terms off the bat, you're most likely going to want to group these together. And it's kind of like what we were doing last week. You're going to separate the first 2 terms and the last 2 terms. So I will draw this little separation line, and we're going to look at these first 2 terms, and then we'll look at these second 2 terms. So if we're looking at the first 2 terms, our goal here is to factor out the greatest common factor. And if we're just focusing in on these right here, who can tell me what the greatest common factor is for those first 2 terms? Just make sure you're pulling out everything with that. Can you guys see my screen?
No.
No. right, hold on one second. Share. Uh-oh. Some technical difficulties here. Hold on. I think I know what the problem is, though. Yep, that was the problem. All right, here we go. So now we're looking at my screen. Who can tell me what the greatest common factor is there for those two terms? All right, good job. So for the first two terms, your greatest common factor is x squared. Both of those terms share an x squared. So we're going to pull the x squared out. And if I pull an x squared out of x to the third, what I'm left with is just x. And if I pull an x squared out of 7x squared, what I'm left with is just 7. Okay? Does that piece make sense? Okay. So now that we've focused on the left-hand side, what we're going to do is we're going to focus on the right-hand side. And just like before, our parentheses, so what we have in parentheses, must match. So if we're doing this right, this has to be x plus 7. Okay. So what's the greatest common factor of 2x plus 14? Well, what is the greatest common factor between 2x and the number 14? And that greatest common factor is 2. So now that we've taken care of this, our parentheses match, which is exactly what we needed. Now what we're able to do is take this x squared plus 2, write it as a binomial, and we're going to pull just one x plus 7 out, and that is going to be our final solution. Okay. Now, again, when you're factoring by grouping, you're gonna know you're factoring by grouping because they're gonna give you 4 terms. Okay. And when you have those 4 terms, you're gonna take a look at the first two on the left, take out the greatest common factor, rewrite what's left, then take a look at on the right-hand side, take out the greatest common factor, and rewrite what's left. Your parentheses should always match up, and then you write what's left as the 2 binomials. Okay. Now, that was going to be our first example. Obviously, we will do quite a few of these just to get ourselves comfortable. Another example here is going to be 3x cubed plus 15x squared minus 2x minus 10. So, again, if you have a notebook out, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to split those two. You're going to want to take a look at your first 2 terms there. Okay, and you're live on the stream, so I'm going to put you on the spot here. What is the greatest common factor for those first 2 terms?
3x squared.
3x squared. So we're going to pull out the 3x squared. That's our greatest common factor. And what are we left with in parentheses?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, all right. It would be x plus 5.
X plus 5. Okay. Now, again, if we're doing this correctly, this set of parentheses must be x plus 5. Okay. So if this is x plus 5, what am I pulling out as the greatest common factor from negative 2x and negative 10? And what I'm going to do here is, again, I'm going to copy this StreamYard at this link. if a few more of you guys want to log in, that way I can get you guys on stream to answer a few questions. All right, good job, Mackenzie, throwing in the answer there. -2 is going to be our greatest common factor. Okay, and we're going to use that in order to write our final solution. Okay, final solution is going to be 3x squared minus 2 in one set of parentheses, and in the other set, we're going to have the x plus 5. And that is our final answer. I'll hide that. Okay, give you guys a couple of seconds to write that down. I'm going to look for another example. I'm going to make this one just a little bit more challenging. Not really, though. And we'll probably do 2 more examples. So we'll go with this one. Okay. Slightly different type of problem. Again, make sure you're identifying the absolute greatest common factor here. So let's go with x squared y plus 3x squared minus 7y squared minus 21y. Okay. And again, with any of the factoring by grouping with 4 terms, we're going to split these up. We're going to look at the first 2. And taking a look at the first 2, who can tell me what the greatest common factor is for x squared y and 3x squared? Hopefully, you guys have pulled out. Good job, Shay, Ant, Mackenzie, Kiana. It's like you guys all posted at the same time. Kiana, Mackenzie, Ant, Shay, and Fiona. Good job. The greatest common factor is x squared, and what I'm left with is actually y plus 3. Okay, so that takes care of the first half. And now we're taking a look at the greatest common factor, and we need the greatest common factor of -7y minus 21. Again, this has to be y plus 3. So what do I have to drop in here, where if I multiply it, I'm going to get -7y squared minus 21y. Be careful with this one. What is the greatest common factor of the 2 terms underlined in blue? All right, good job. Mackenzie's got it. Kiana, Ant, nice job. We're going to pull a -7y out, okay? And then we just have to rewrite this as our final solution, which should be fairly simple, okay? Our first set of parentheses is x squared minus 7y, and our second set of parentheses is y plus 3. I'll drop that down. Are there any questions? Anybody have a question not in the stream? I know Ott's the only one in the stream right now. Rooney, welcome. If you missed anything, this is posted live to YouTube. When I end the broadcast, you can actually feel free to go back through it. The class actually starts at about 3.5 minutes into the video. All right, I'm not getting any more questions, so I'm going to throw a challenge problem out here. This is going to be the last challenge problem we go through. This requires you to actually focus on pulling out the greatest common factor and making sure that you're taking your time with it. So we have 4r squared s minus 8rs minus 3r plus 6. Okay, and again, should be getting the hang of this. Split the 4 terms into 2. Now, be careful with your greatest common factor here, okay? Be careful with your greatest common factor. With what's underlined, what is the greatest common factor? Give you guys a minute to think about that one. Okay, nice job. We have 4RS, Mackenzie, Fiona, good job. So our greatest common factor here is 4RS. And if I pull 4RS out, what I am left with is just R minus 2. Okay. And then again, I'm going to take a look here, switch up the colors. I'm going to take a look at negative 3R plus 6. And again, this must be R minus 2. So if that's the case, then what goes right in front of the parentheses here? What do I need to multiply R minus 2 by to get negative 3R plus 6? And Ant's the first one on it, negative 3. Good job, Ant. So we're going to drop in our negative 3 here. What we're going to do is we're going to rewrite our answer. So it'll be 4RX minus 3 in the first set of parentheses and R minus 2 in the second set. And that is your solution. Okay. I think that would give you a good idea of the amounts of or the different types of problems that you'll run across. They're all pretty much the same in terms of grouping. They're not much more challenging than this. Just make sure that you're pulling out the absolute greatest common factor or your parentheses won't match up. If you want to stop in the stream to ask any questions, I will drop in the link one more time. If you'd rather be live, again, you probably aren't the only one with a question. If you do have a question, stop on by. If you just want to say hi to your fellow classmates, you can absolutely do that as well. But other than more math examples, I think those 4 are pretty good, solid structure. I'm going to post up your worksheet numbers 1 to 18 on Google Classroom. Those are going to be due by tomorrow night at 11:59. So it's just 1 to 18. Finish them up. Do 9 today, do 9 tomorrow. Finish them all up today, whatever you want. If you have any questions, I'm always here. You can always ask. If you're not doing anything at noon, Mr. Miller and I, with some special guests, we're going to be revealing the movie Madness bracket. We're going off of the candy one. We're going into movies this time. So stop on by to that live stream. Come hang out if you're not doing anything. But if you have no other questions and you're done and you feel good and comfortable with this stuff, feel free to head on out. Thanks for stopping by. I'll keep this live until 20 minutes. So that gives you 30 seconds or so to hop in here if you have any questions. And if we have questions, we'll extend.
See ya.
See ya. All right. I don't think anybody's got any questions. All right. So if you have any questions, just shoot me an email, shoot me a private comment. Have a great day. And I appreciate it. Have a nice day. And I will talk to you guys again soon.